This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview.
Joining us today is Sam Garrett, the CEO of Great Southern Copper, after the company announced the expansion of its targets for the maiden drilling program at the Mostaza Mine, part of the Cerro Negro Project in Chile. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. Sam, I know you're on your way back from site, but how are you and how was the site visit?
Good morning, Mark. Nice to talk to you again. It was excellent, and these results only make it all the better. Not very often in life you get a free kick, but that's the value of digging deep into your data and getting rewarded.
Good. Well, as I understand, I think the RNS did make it quite clear, but you've identified additional significant copper-silver mineralization from historical drill hole data and rock samples there. So this is reanalyzing of the historical data to help you increase your understanding and indeed, as you said, increase the mineralization and the scale of the drilling target.
That's right. So the original mine and the one drilling or two drilling programs were focused on targeting that really high grade copper, silver, and as we now know, plus gold mineralization. And they were using a cutoff of 1.5% copper and 100 ppm silver. So very high grade, and they were getting nice widths. But as we've just found out when we dug into the data, there's very broad intervals also that you can use with a 0.3% cutoff. And if you take sort of the anomalous zone of copper, which is above 0.1% copper, a significant number of the holes, ended in mineralization. So we actually can't use that cutoff yet because we don't know the bounds of the system. So the important thing for us is that it enhances the target, makes the target bigger, harder to miss, and extends the mineralization along strike. So what's come out of this is that the Mostaza deposit, as it is right now, is only limited by the drilling.
Right, okay. And I did see some media that the company put out recently, a lot of drone footage. Presumably this was from your trip there last week. So you can see the old mine there, that pit, and there's the sort of the adits, I want to call them, in the sort of cliff face there. So this is the old mine that was abandoned for whatever reason, but there's still a lot of data, and there's a lot more to be found here.
That's right, and we're finding it. The more work we do. And I guess, the key thing is that, today's copper price and with today's technology, you don't have to only focus on those high-grade zones. Those high-grade zones are critical to the story, don't get me wrong. They provide you that target and that entry point. But when you allow yourself to then broaden the system out, long term, you're adding more tons, and so you're adding deposit time, mining time, mining life, and all that sort of critical stuff. It's an exciting time. And on top of that, as you say, we've been finding new parallel mineralized zones to the same Mostaza system. So the deposit, in our view, is growing. So there's either going to be multiple high grade zones with lower grade envelopes, or they're all going to sort of, coalesce into one big thing.
Right. Okay. And the mine originally, why was it sort of not continued? Why was it sort of, abandoned?
Mine was owned at the time by Antofagasta Minerals, or their local company, and they started mining and they were processing at a nearby plant of theirs, but they also at the same time got involved in the projects that really set them on fire, and so this was clearly a bit of a distraction for them.
Right. Okay. Well, what they left behind, you can now hopefully go and explore. And as part of the RNS, you of course included some modelling, which I think, if I'm right in understanding, this modelling has come from the the work that you've been doing. So this is the first one here that we've got. So this is from the reinterpretation of the data. I know we talked about these lenses before. So if you can just explain what we're seeing here, but I guess we're seeing that sort of lens in the yellow and red in the bottom there.
That's right. So from the first slide you showed, you can see that the lenses are interpreted basically only from drilling, and where there's no lens, there's no drilling. That may prove to be the case, but at the moment, clearly it's an opportune target to drill between those lenses, and with a view to expanding the system along trend. So on this image, you can see the original red lens of the Mostaza Mine, lens 2, as it was mined, and the yellow lower grade 0.3% copper shell just broadens it out significantly. And then you can see along trend, lenses 5, 4, 3 are there with one hole, basically, or two holes in those that have intersected those, but no real drilling underneath those. And then further along strike again, there's exactly the same style of alteration you can see, but no drilling. So, Mostaza Mine itself is the primary target. All that mineralization along strike will then become the secondary target.
Okay, yeah. So the Mostaza Mine, that's again where that video showed where you were standing looking at the mine there with the adits. And when you say lower grade, are we talking? It's not 0.1%? Did you say?
That's the outer halo. So that's sort of what defines the mineralized system, 0.1%. But within that, there'll be zones like this where you're getting much higher grades. So you'll still be having that. That linear sort of tabular nature to the system. But the 0.1% is really important because it means that there's a very large sort of bank of copper in there, and that's all coming from somewhere. So and that sort of segues me nicely into our third task, which is to look for the bigger porphyry copper deposit beneath, which we believe, based on our sort of geological work today, there's a good chance of that being there.
Okay, That's, I think, is that a close-up of the Mostaza Mine, the lens 2? Okay.
Yeah, so that's a section through the mine. So now you can see quite nicely the original lens, the red in red, and the new halo mineralization, so greater than 0.3 around it. So it sort of thickened the lens up quite nicely.
Yeah, okay. I know we talked about this is the aerial view of it, lens 1 and 2 there, being your primary target, wanting to get to drill test the strike, and then you're going to look to explore, I think, 3, 4 and 5 with more of a geophysical approach, but the focus will be on lens 1 and 2, targeting that mineralization at depth and going out along strike. And as you said earlier, all about building up tonnage, 2 times, 3 times, I think you alluded to before. So that's still the plan then, to get drilling. And how's that looking? I mean, I know when we spoke last time, you said that you were hoping to do it before year end, and I probably think that's still on track, is it?
It's still on track. We've ticked the archaeological and environmental parts of the process. So those teams have been on site. And we're waiting for their final reports, but the surveys are done, so that's the first bit. So once we get those done, we get our community sign-off done and the Cerro Negro sort of approval, which is the Chilean sort of geological survey, if you like. We'll be good to go. We've appointed a drilling contractor, so the contracts are being drawn up for all of that. The contractor's been on site and reviewed the planned sites that we've got, for safety reasons and all that sort of stuff. So, we're good to go, but we've just got to get these hurdles in place, and it's all getting a bit exciting.
So you're good to go with plans. It's just the formalities now to get them out the way, and then you can effectively start going with the intention to drill that existing Mostaza Mine lens 2 there, build up the tonnage, all the time in the back of your mind looking for the source, the porphyry.
Correct. So the important thing is to first confirm those historical grades, because this was drilled a long time ago, and there's although we've got records of assays, you can't use those in a JORC or 43 cents. So we've got to confirm the original grades, and we can see it and sample it in the pit. So we're pretty confident. But you do have to physically do that first, and then we start stepping out, and stepping down too, I might add. So it's going to grow down as well as across. And we've got to try and work out what the structural controls on these things are. That's always very important, because you don't want to be drilling holes into areas where you might miss. So that's a key part of this first program. And we'll be looking at this will be a diamond drilling program to start with, so we get as maximum information that we get out of it.
Okay, good. And this will feed into a resource statement, a JORC resource statement. Would you say?
Ultimately, for sure, that's the plan. Yeah, not within the next 6 months, but there'll be a lot more drilling to do yet. We'll have to try and work out how big this thing is going to get before we decide, what numbers to potentially put around it. But there's the others. Parallel lenses need to come in as well. So it's developing into a big system. So we need to, we'll be taking our time.
Okay. Confirming the historical grades, building the understanding and the scale of the deposit.
Yeah, correct. Exactly.
Okay. Excellent. Okay, well, thank you very much for that update, Sam. I look forward to hearing when that drilling does indeed commence. But for now, thank you very much for your time. Sam Garrett, the CEO of Great Southern Copper.
Thanks, Mark. Nice to talk to you again.